Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 139. My name is Russell Frost, and I am your only host this evening, as my co-host Danny Cooper is unfortunately not able to join us, which makes me very sad. And hopefully, though, you out there in viewer or listener land are not sad. Luckily for me, I have an amazing panel this week and some really amazingly cool news topics to discuss. So let me start off by introducing them. They are, in no particular order, and just because, you know what? He's our man in Colorado. He fixes hybrids like nobody else. His name is Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, it's good to be back here in What Drives Us land. And today I'm drinking a Colette beer. Don't know. It's a farmhouse ale from Denver, Colorado, just down the road.
Excellent.
Yep. Very nice, very nice. Well, moving to the right on my screen, the next person is our man with the Tesla. His name is Evan Fusco.
Hello, everyone. I am consuming a homebrew wheat ale, American wheat ale. Quite nice. It's finally ready for drinking.
It's kind of a dark wheat.
You know it is, and I thought the same thing. It's probably slightly paler than it looks from there, but it was an extract brew, and the extract that it came with was really dark. So obviously there's some specialty grains in there that just give it a little extra color and enhance the flavors.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, moving from the Midwest to the Northwest, our man in the exciting Pacific Northwest, Patrick Connor.
Hello from Oregon, where, surprisingly, llamas are very popular. About 1/4 of all the llamas in the U.S. live here in Oregon.
I do not.
Thank you.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Yeah, well, you can't believe anything you read on the internet or hear on podcasts. So. I heard Abraham Lincoln say that once.
In a meme.
Touché. And last and certainly not least, he is another one of our men in the Midwest. I can't say. You all know him unless you've never seen the show before. And if you haven't, I feel very bad for you. His name is Timmy Schaefer.
Hey everybody, glad to be here. Happy Wednesday. Today my Boulder Beer bottle opener is going to open a bottle of Troublesome, which was brewed in Chicago. It says it's a wheat beer with coriander. And then on the other side it says secret ingredient, coriander, in case you weren't paying attention. So
not so secret after all.
Yes, yeah. Well, so again, local Chicago beer, Off Color Brewing.
And
nice.
Just to break with tradition, I think for the first time since we've relaunched, I'm drinking a beer. One of my very, very favorites. I love beers from my favorite Canadian brewer, Unibrew. This is Ephemer. It is a fantastic apple beer, and it comes in a large-sized bottle, which for my large-sized person goes together very nicely.
Apple beer.
Correlation, causality.
Oh, if you've never had an Ephemer, Tony, you definitely have one. It is magnificent. So, let's start off with 2-minute news topics. You know what, Paul? Forgive me for putting you on the spot. Did you have a topic?
I do.
Start with you, sir.
In honor of last week's episode, which I was unable to participate,
oh no!
Germany has opened their first hydrogen filling station on the Autobahn. Now, all they need is some cars.
That's it? Come on.
But I'll post a link.
I like that.
So, a lot of politicians dancing around cutting ribbons and stuff, but I don't think there's that many hydrogen cars in Germany at this point. So they're a little behind the America, but we'll see what happens.
By what, 2?
Who's building hydrogen in Germany? Is it Daimler building hydrogen in Germany?
It looks like Total, which is an oil company. We see ourselves as trailblazers in building the hydrogen filling stations infrastructure in Germany. They've already operates. It says up to 1,000 fuel cell vehicles could already be fueled by green hydrogen today. Again, I guess they're under the assumption build it and they will come. But,
right, yeah. It's the field of dreams in reality.
Yeah.
Wow. And you think people in the U.S. reference the Hindenburg and hydrogen?
Oh, no, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Too late.
Nice.
Hey, we didn't do that last
Anyway,
week. That was too easy.
Yeah, I know. It was a softball. It was way too easy.
The Hindenburg jokes probably would not have enhanced the show. Speaking of enhancing the show, Evan Fusco.
Yeah. Hey, so I got this little article came up just the other day. A combination, I guess it was Daimler built this truck that will eventually be autonomous. It's currently semi-autonomous, so they demoed it in this really long, boring video with lots of fancy music, and then they had a commercial-length video about 2 minutes long that just patted themselves on the back. I think what was most interesting about this actually is, obviously there's a lot more autonomous vehicles coming along and from all different sources, with Google's steering wheel-less vehicle to Tesla slowly developing their autonomous vehicle and everybody else kind of getting in that game. But what's interesting is just the fear, uncertainty, doubt type stuff that comes up. This story was linked through a local news channel on Facebook, and there were no fewer than 30 posts, all of them talking about how truck drivers were all going to lose their jobs because of this, and that made it a bad thing, and what would happen when the computer crashes, and how many injuries there would be that would result from it, and you can't trust computers because they're error prone, and it's just kind of fascinating to watch the discussions that go on around these things.
It would be really efficient if they got a whole bunch of these self-driving trucks and just put them all in a row, and they could take cargo across country. Oh, hang on, it's called a train.
Train.
Yeah.
With minimal staff.
Yes.
It's hard in a logical conversation about a lot of things to do with transportation not to come back to mass transit at some point. There's certainly some things that mass transit doesn't do, but wow, there's so many things that it does. It's interesting. Moving freight, for instance, it seems to be a very efficient manner of moving things on rails.
Yeah, actually, in Tesla, in this the quarterly announcement today, said they've actually started transitioning to moving Teslas across country in trains because it's more efficient and cheaper.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Connor? Excuse me, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay, well, my 2-minute topic today is actually from April. And as it turns out, 9 people were arrested at the Buffalo Trace refinery, a distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky, for actually stealing some Pappy Van Winkle Kentucky bourbon. It was an inside job, of course, and it turns out that they had stolen more than $100,000 worth of bourbon over the course of many years.
6 bottles, right?
Yeah, mixed bottles. There was some Wild Turkey and some other stuff. But the truly sad part here, 17-year-old bourbon, a barrel is valued at $11,000, but because it had left the distillery, even though they had recovered it, they're going to have to destroy it.
No.
And, I know, it's horrible.
It could destroy it by pouring it in a bucket that I was holding.
Could they send it to starving children in Ethiopia or something?
I think they probably could. Yes, it's very wealthy children who can pay $11,000 a barrel. So, that has nothing to do with automobiles or anything, but I just thought that it was hilarious that this thing had been going on for years. They had been stealing the bourbon from the distillery.
Let's tie it into cars. Could they pour that in and make it ethanol? Can we burn it in our cars?
Probably easier than hydrogen, yes.
Burning bourbon in your vehicle. Oh.
$11,000 to fill up the tank.
What's the cost per mile on that?
So expensive. I think I bought a bottle for a friend of mine.
100 miles a
It was like $80. But it was probably the cheap stuff, But he couldn't get
Will. Yeah.
Anyway, let's to finish up on our 2-minute topics. We have an expanded 2-minute topic, and I'll cop to, if I had been smart enough to include it in the main news, this wouldn't be a 2-minute topic. But Patrick luckily picked up on my omission, and he is now going to introduce his expanded 2-minute news topic.
Thank you. So Tesla announced their new energy storage system, and just as everyone had predicted, it's a battery for home or industrial use. And there's a whole lot of articles out there about this. It's been called the next great thing in the energy revolution. It's been called the end of fossil fuels, the end of nuclear in Forbes, which I thought nuclear was already dead. But anyway, then there's other articles that call it just another rich man's toy from Tesla. You can find haters always. One of my favorite articles in this was one that said that this pack is going to be very popular with indoor marijuana growers. And since recreational use is going to become legal here in Oregon in July, that's just when they start shipping them. Coincidence?
Is that why you were checking into it today, Patrick?
That is not why, but yes, okay. I did get a quote on it.
So, forgive my ignorance here. But just to address the little thing you just picked up, why is the Tesla battery helpful to indoor marijuana growers?
Well, because you have to run lights at night when you don't have daylight, and if you charge up your battery during the day, sunlight, and then you run it overnight, you're not spiking your electricity bill to make it obvious that you're growing marijuana in your basement or wherever you're.
Right, because the heat signature wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they have to drive by your house.
But it's legal to grow, so.
Right. Well, yeah.
Just buy grid power.
You're the only house that doesn't have snow on the roof.
In Oregon.
In Oregon.
So, yeah, I mean, the big news was obviously the Tesla. What's the actual brand name? Is it called?
So they have two. Yeah. So let me just go on a little bit more, and then we can open it up. So Tesla had their earnings call today, and they announced that they had 38,000 pre-orders. And there was a Verge article that briefly had the highlights from the call, and I'll just read some of the highlights here. Elon Musk says response has been off the hook. So the response has been coming like crazy, Musk said. He went on to describe the reception to the Tesla Energy introduction as crazy and off the hook. Tesla has also tallied 2,500 reservations for the Power Pack. The Pack is the large industrial-sized one. And then he also said that with those at that industrial scale, they're likely to buy 8 or 10 of them. So having 25,000 reservations could potentially be 25,000 sales of the Power Pack. Yeah, there's one last paragraph here. Those are strong numbers for Tesla's latest venture, and Musk sounds downright giddy. Yeah, so... they also say that they're probably sold out through the first half of next year. So if you haven't already reserved one, you're out of luck for a while.
So can I ask what I think is a simple question, but something I honestly don't know the answer to, and I haven't been able to find it? Where are they manufacturing these things?
Oh, good question.
I think initially, I think they're going to be assembled in Fremont. I mean, they've got tons of footprint still in that facility. So I think that's going to be the initial point, and eventually it'll be moved to the Gigafactory.
To the Gigafactory, yeah.
Right, which is not online yet. Which is why they said they're going to have limited volumes until the Gigafactory is online.
Right.
But last I heard, the Gigafactory was barreling towards completion, or at least construction was going very well.
Yeah, construction, but then you have to spin up production, and that's that's going to take some time, I'm sure.
Well, got to make a lot of these guys too.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of them.
Is that an 18650?
That is an 18650.
You just keep one on your desk.
Uh,
Your first step toward building a Tesla, right there.
keep two on my desk.
Whoa.
Actually, Evan, he snuck in and took him out of your car. That's why your car.
Oh, nice.
This
All right.
device uses 18650s.
Wasn't that
You know what that is?
There's a vapor thing.
Vape?
Yeah, it's a vaporizer. It's a very expensive, high-powered vaporizer.
That
yeah.
makes the vapor better.
for legal smokable materials.
No, it's for liquid, actually, not for no, not for the vegetable matter. Yeah, it actually does. Having all that power now, and this, in fact, honestly, this one's like a year old, and it's already out of date. The new ones hold two 18650s, and this is a 30 watt. The new ones, I think, are 60 watts. So.
All right.
Yay! But so Tesla's got a new way to sell batteries besides cars. Anybody think
Right.
that's a bad idea?
Is that what the car is? The car is just a battery delivery system.
I think that's why BYD got into the car business. They were a battery company looking for new revenues.
Didn't Coda also take that avenue? They realized their cars looked like shit and they couldn't sell them, so they went the car model or the battery.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. That's not quite the same.
Yeah, I mean, A123 certainly looked at cars as a battery delivery system, and look how that worked out for them. But,
So before the show started, Patrick was talking about the the value of these things, trying to make it pay off, and who the real customers are for it. And Solar City kind of announced today how much they were going to be charged to do the installation, which will require a professional electrician to install. You can't just grab it and hang it on your wall and be happy. And it's looking like this is going to, at a minimum, be $5,000. So that even though the base price for the pack is $3,500, unless you buy one and hire your own electrician or are married to one or something, you're going to have to pay to have the thing installed. And so they're saying $5,000, and that's going to be a lease option for them. To buy it outright, one item I saw online showed it was closer to $7,100, so basically double the price of one pack to buy it outright and have it installed. Patrick got a slightly lower number at $6,100, but you're still talking about a pretty huge expense to hang just one pack on your wall, and that's probably not enough to power an average size American household overnight. So you're probably going to need a minimum of 2 to 3, and the payoff over time, even if you live in an area where there's a differential for night rates for your electricity, you're going to have a very hard time breaking even on that, if not an impossible time.
so what you're telling me is, go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and didn't I hear the power output's only about 2 kilowatts, so it's essentially like a smallish Honda generator. So.
Oh, gosh, I need to look at that article. I think it was like 2 to 2.5 continuous, and it had maybe a 3.5 peak.
So when your air conditioner cycles on and you turn on the blender, you blow the breaker.
Yep.
So,
Which is why you should get 2 or 3 of them.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah,
clear.
I looked into it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say I have solar panels on my house now, so I was seriously considering this. But batteries, I mean, this is a stupid, obvious statement, don't make electricity. They don't make power. All they do is store it and let you use it later. So for me, in the few times when I am generating surplus, my meter spins backwards, and then at night when the sun's not shining, it unwinds and spins it forward. So I don't need a battery for my use case. Where I'm at, I don't lose power very often, so I don't need it for backup. and I'm not concerned with when the zombie apocalypse comes that I'm not going to be able to get grid power. I mean, if that's your motivation, great. These make sense. Or if you're somewhere where power is not reliable, or you want to be off grid for other reasons, now that makes sense. But if you're just looking at if you have $5,000 to spend on this, I think most people would be better off buying $5,000 worth of solar panels.
Yep.
Right. Good point.
Or 5,000 towards an electric vehicle.
Right. Now, on the flip side, I have a friend who does live off-grid on an island in Maine who has been using lead-acid batteries stacked in a large closet, actually in his entryway to his home for many years. And I sent him this. Right. I sent him the information on this, and he actually put a reservation in immediately. It's perfect for somebody like that that really needs a smaller, efficient, clean, nice storage medium for his electricity, because he uses wind and solar at his house.
So does your friend have a spare bedroom?
Well, yeah, actually.
Okay. All
nice
right.
little loft.
All right.
What, you moving in, Tony?
Yeah,
I'll get his phone number. I could use a vacation on an island.
It's a lovely place. He's got a wood-burning hot tub that I've had the opportunity to use.
You would think it would.
Hey, honey, let's go in the hot tub. It'll be ready in 7 hours.
And here's your straw if you want bubbles.
So okay,
You
so
could
let's
turn
look
on the
at
lights
this.
at night.
So let's look at this
Tesla.
from a business perspective. If people living off the grid, or people who have solar, and unlike Patrick, who just go on the grid when the solar's when you just basically net meter. So from a Tesla perspective, what's the business model? Who are they going to sell this to? They're going to sell this to people with $7,500 to throw away? Is it ever going to pay for itself? What's the long-term goal here?
Yeah, that Prius is never going to pay for itself either.
Thank you.
My Tesla's never going to pay for itself either. The car Tesla.
Okay. Now, but however, see here, there's a difference there. You need a car. I need a car. We need a car. We don't need a huge fucking battery hanging in the garage.
His friend that lives on an island, now he needs a battery.
Okay, so that's one person. There's one pack.
And then
Who got the other 25,000?
I mean,
there are a lot of people that have unreliable.
Yeah, if you live in flaky grid areas, it would make sense. Or you're too far from the grid. Definitely that's the first market.
As I was saying before the show, and we were talking about this, I mean, my old house in Florida, before I lived here, was in sort of a semi-rural area. Every time we had a storm, and it's Florida, you have storms constantly, I would lose power 8-10 times a year. Sometimes overnight, sometimes for a few hours, and would that have been worth the money for me to have air conditioning and maybe communications? Absolutely. So, I mean, I think there are people, but the key point is here, these early adopters aren't saving money. They're not making anything back. They're early adopters.
I think one market in California, commercial rates, they have these surge demand prices. So if you run your factory in the middle of the summer, they can jack up your rates like 300%. So if you're in a region where they do that, this would make a lot of sense, just to sort of level out the load. And Southern California, there is like a 2-year payback on something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, they call those demand charges, and they are steep.
Yeah.
And I think there are enough tree huggers out there that want to move toward energy independence in any way they possibly can, that they're willing to invest in this, just like those of us that were early adopters for other things, to say, look, this is a feasible technology moving forward. Gambling on the prices coming down in the future, trying to show that it's a feasible alternative to have solar and battery backup and be able to be independent, or at least semi-independent of the grid. And you're in bad shape if you're trying to make a dollars and cents case for this, I think, other than you say the big commercial businesses. But I think there's people that are trying to make a statement with it.
Yeah. And certain people are going to feel good, like we always joke in the car industry, like what's the ROI on leather seats and a sunroof? Well, there isn't, but it makes you feel good. So buying a battery for your house, if it makes you feel good and you have the money, what the hell?
And
the worst way is to blow your cash.
Yeah.
As we've alluded to several times, Elon's in the business of making cars and making batteries. So he's got to come up with ways to sell batteries. And he's probably not going to sell enough $70,000 to $100,000 cars right now, maybe in the future $35,000 to $100,000 cars, to get rid of all those batteries. So this power pack is an excellent way to do that.
I agree. And here's that hot tub that I was earlier.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll bring in some more viewers right there, guys.
I was just going to say, I think we're going to have a call from the federal government.
Yes.
I'm afraid of that.
Second time those two have been on the show.
Yeah. Tell them that they're on the show again tonight. Knowledge or I mean, and
there was another use case that.
I'm sorry, really quick, Patrick, and then I'll shut up. Elon's going to learn stuff too.
No.
He's developing his business model. He's going to learn things from consumers, from building these things that other people aren't going to learn just by watching. So he's going to be gaining valuable knowledge while taking advantage of these early adopters who are going to buy this product, whether or not they want to, because it looks damn cool.
It is sexy. It is a damn sexy case.
No, don't. You can talk anytime you want. It's your show.
And isn't Toyota going to enter this market and have like a hydrogen power pack you can mount on the wall?
Ooh. Yeah, if hydrogen's so great, why isn't it a backup power home system?
Here's the problem with that joke. That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I could pipe natural gas into my house, and with the right fuel cell thing, that actually makes sense. It's putting it in the car.
Right, yeah, but that's not the type
But I
of
think
fuel
to
cell
convert
Toyota's
natural
doing.
gas to hydrogen, you need like a distiller that's going to cost $1 million or something. So.
Yeah, there's that too. Well, I could buy a bloom box and just pipe the natural gas into it.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah, what I was going to say earlier, there's a use case that Elon mentioned in the reveal of this product where he said, let's compare it to cell phones versus wired phones. In a lot of the world, the cell phones leapfrogged wired plain old telephone lines because deploying all that infrastructure was really expensive versus throwing out one cell tower that served a whole region. And so in a lot of the world, deploying reliable electrical grid systems is really difficult. But if you're doing it for your one home, one business, and you have batteries and solar panels, it could work really well.
Certainly.
That's true. Yeah, and a lot of the developing world, people have diesel generators in their homes, and they got to get the fuel to the house and keep it ready to go, and it's a big expense to have reliable power in much of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And with the battery pack, a solar panel array makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Can you retrofit one of these into a plug-in Prius?
I actually sent that.
Screw it into the side.
Paul Visit can do anything.
Yeah.
Talk to Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Let us know as soon as you do an
Yeah.
electric car conversion with one of these Tesla packs.
Yeah. Sure, send one over. I'll play with it.
Yeah. There you go. Well, any final words on the Tesla Power Pack?
No, that's a wrap on the show.
Yeah.
We have other things to talk about this week. Well, I guess it's hard to qualify Elon Musk and Tesla as anything but winners, but let's talk about some losers.
Uh-oh.
My friend, who I've never met and don't have a personal relationship with, but I like to call him my friend, Jim Motivale, is a fantastic writer on alt car stuff, and he wrote actually kind of a funny article about 10 models that car lots can't give away, and the leadoff was the poor, sad, much beleaguered, even on this show, Honda Insight Hybrid.
The Prius killer, remember.
Oh, yes.
I think they sold 12 last year.
Something close to that.
Wow.
I don't know where, but yeah, I just thought it was a fun list. It was interesting that the ELR is on here. The Insight was on this list. I think those were the only. Yeah, those are the only alt cars, as it were. The rest of the stuff, I mean, the Volvo XC90 is just kind of stupid. The Fiat is a car that looks really cute, but from everybody that I've talked to that owns one, doesn't enjoy it. It's like uncomfortable. It's not much fun to be in. But
the 500 EV is pretty cool, apparently.
Is it?
Yeah, I've talked to an owner. He says it's like a little zippy go-kart.
Wow. The car that kind of surprised.
But it's a California compliance car, so.
Yeah. The car that kind of surprised me was the Nissan GTR. Which, I mean, I didn't know that Nissan made more than a couple of dozen of these things. I mean, it's really just a publicity car. We talk about compliance cars all the time, but the GTR gets 80% of Nissan's publicity and probably accounts for less than 1% of their sales.
It is a nice-looking car, though.
Is it? You see, I don't...
Well, I think so. In an accessible kind of way. It's not the over-the-top Lamborghini or Ferrari. It's
look, I'm a douchebag car. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly what it is.
No, the Lamborghini is that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, and all I
thought we were talking about poolside again.
All I think of when I think of the GTR is Jeremy Clarkson driving one across Japan. Did you saw? Okay,
Yeah.
And just thinking, oh, what an ass! He so belongs in that car.
Well, I have an interesting little fact about the Honda Insight.
Okay.
We on this show were talking about anticipating the release and predicting how well the Honda Insight would do when it was actually released. Now they're talking about discontinuing it, which means this show has outlasted the Honda Insight. And because we do a new show every week, we just may be outperforming the Honda Insight.
There may be more What Drives Us episodes than there are Honda Insights.
Hey, why is this Buick Verano not selling well? That's a nice looking car for $23,000. Is it because it's a Buick?
Oh, the Verano? I don't know.
I think I'm not familiar with it, but I think the point of the thing was that it seems to be really redundant, but it's really huge in China.
Yeah, that is one thing I do remember hearing, that Buicks are.
Buick's a big brand in China.
Yeah, it's the American car brand in China.
What's up with that? I mean,
back in the old days, the Chinese leaders and dignitaries were driving around in Buicks, and so all the kids that went to school read the textbooks and they go, "Oh, Mr. Whatever drove a Buick. It must be a great car because the president of China, or whatever they're called over there, drove the Buick."
And there's the cachet. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And we had at my company, we had a German executive come over, and he was he worked here in the States for 2 years. His immediate go-to vehicle was a Jeep Wrangler. And that's what he drove the whole time he was here, was a Jeep Wrangler. And we were thinking, oh my God, you could take anything, and that's what he got.
Yeah, I'm not getting that one.
Yeah.
I'm not. So, thanks, Jim, for this fun little article. It was cute to talk about, and because we all like to kick a loser when they're down. At least I do. Speaking of losers, the Auto Alliance is a consortium. It's a lobbying group that represents most of the car manufacturers that sell vehicles in the United States. They are probably one of the sources of the most pure evil in the vehicle world that exists today. And they're playing all of us as losers. They are lobbying heavily for changes in the DMCA, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. This is this is sort of like the Patriot Act. It's one of these things that started out as something and has kind of blown up into this overarching set of laws that covers
overreaching.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The upshot of this is the Auto Alliance, this consortium of car companies, is claiming that in allowing people to repair or modify their own cars, in allowing any third party to repair or modify a car constitutes a copyright violation because these cars are so complicated that they can only be dealt with by the manufacturer / authorized dealer.
Jeez.
Yes, because you're not smart enough to fix our stuff.
So shall I open it up for like 60 seconds of just pure cursing?
Just a constant bleep.
We don't bleep anything. We just get an
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, I just obviously the evil inherent in this act is just so obvious and so terrible.
God, yes. I don't even tune or chip or modify my car or whatever. Even I felt insulted.
Yeah.
Reading their quote unquote arguments. We're doing it for your own good.
Right.
We're protecting you from yourself.
Right.
And we're protecting you from Paul Guzik.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I mean, there's a whole aftermarket industry of chipping cars and changing out software. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do on cars like the Prius, but like VW, Subaru, you can buy a chip to get you, 45 more horsepower in the engine management system. One thing that was pretty cool recently, Tesla announced that they're going to bring one of their cars to like hackathon or something and let hackers play with the car and try and find its weaknesses. And they'll probably offer jobs to the people who can break into the car system. But they want to make sure the car is safe and maybe allow some, non-dangerous extensions to the car. Like if you think of a feature, you can add it to the car yourself, kind of thing. If you're a geek.
Right.
And that was
yeah.
cool.
So
That's the stuff that I think is really cool.
Is there any legitimate side to the Auto Alliance's argument?
I could see some on a stretch, on a far stretch, where somebody who is modifying the chips and they don't know what they're doing and they do something and it ends up damaging the car or, in their example, disables the brakes or something. But I mean, what are we looking at? An outlier? I mean, that's.
I mean, one thing is certainly warranty support. I mean, if you chip the car to get an extra 50 horsepower and you blow a piston through the engine, they're not going to want to fix it under warranty.
But that's already covered under Magnuson-Moss. If you do something to modify your vehicle that directly results in damage, then you're not covered under warranty for that. But if it doesn't directly cause any consequences, you're still covered under that.
Right.
And that's the thing. We have a law that covers this sort of situation already, and they're just. I mean, this is clearly an attempt to lock in business.
Yeah, I could see if you modify your car, you could modify a car today and make the brakes not work, but you're not going to end up in jail for copyright violation or terrorism for it, just negligence or involuntary manslaughter.
And even if they
just
do,
that.
I mean, trying to enforce this kind of law. There's all these hacker places in Eastern Europe that sell parts to modify existing cars that are not legal in a lot of places, especially California. But people can find them, people buy them, people put them in their cars. So it might slow people down, but if people want to mess with their cars, they're going to figure out a way to mess with their cars.
Yep.
So
yeah, they covered this.
I'm sorry, Patrick. Please.
They covered this in Pump the movie. They talked about this. There are people that are out there modifying their cars to let them run on various types of fuel and ethanol and other things, and they have to modify the software to do it. Maybe combustible hydrogen. Certainly not fuel hydrogen. And so technically, every time those guys are modding the cars, they're breaking the law.
So the upcoming new Mad Max movie won't be possible in the future.
I mean, I do think there are some concerns, but we haven't. That said, we've had these complicated cars, these computer-controlled cars, on the market now for more than a few years. This isn't like, oh, this just happened last year and we don't really know where it's going to go. We've seen people tuners, whatever, changing chips out. We haven't seen an enormous increase in traffic fatalities and vehicle explosions and all of that. So it does seem that people can modify their cars and reasonable things happen. You know, the car doesn't immediately explode.
Not immediately, you know, it's a nice delayed explosion.
But that's the concern. And obviously, the car companies are very, very, you know, I mean, they want to make all the money they can make, and they're not going to be shy about it. You know, if they can stop you from adding an aftermarket stereo, they've done everything passively that they could to prevent that. Now, if they can just cite copyright law and go, you voided your warranty by adding an aftermarket stereo, despite, is it Magnuson Moss?
Yes.
Evan, thank you. Despite that pre-existing decision that says you can modify your car, now the DMCA is going to supposedly overrule that, and whatever you buy stays the same forever. You know, you have to buy. You know, I'm going to guess that if a light bulb goes out in the car, you damn well better replace it with a factory-authorized light bulb.
Oh no, I'm going to Paul Guzik, and I'm going to have him tweak me a light bulb and fit it.
Look at what those
an extra 2 watts.
Yeah.
Look at what those evil bastards in the printer industry have done. You know, they put chips now in the printer cartridges, so that the last printer that I threw out the window because I would never buy another product from Hewlett-Packard again. I don't use a printer that much, but it's really important once in a while. So I went to print something, and it said that my printer cartridges, even though they were all over 70%, it had expired time-wise.
Yeah.
So I had to buy new printer cartridges.
Wow.
And this is because there's a chip in there, and it checks, and you know.
And of course the ink waste costs more than the car. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, and this could be. You know, it even said, it alluded to somewhere in the article, and I can't find it right now, that, you know, it is essentially it's a money deal. They don't want you going to a third party. They want you buying their stuff. And you know, I'm willing to bet that in the future there will be checks and balances within the car that it will verify that everything is at manufacturer specifications, or something is going to happen. The car won't start, or something that if they can't, and like I said in the article, if they can't make the law, they can't get the law passed to protect them, then they're going to go at it through their warranties or some other way. And if it turns out if they're not going to be able to do that, then you know they're just going to put it into the car itself to control the consumers.
Sure.
But there's always going to be an underground.
Right. Then your first hack is to disable those checks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that they have really smart people too. I bet they'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been a system yet that the hackers haven't gotten into eventually.
Yeah.
Well, and I think another point in this article that brings up is that allowing people to modify and mess with these cars legally does brings to light weaknesses in the manufacturer-assigned systems, because believe me, you've heard me say it on the show a number of times, I despise the software in my vehicle. And I would love to see someone update it, but apparently that's too difficult. I can update my phone every week, can't update my $25,000 car, but at all.
And especially the great audio systems these cars come with from the factory.
It'd be really cool if somebody came out with an open source car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even to Russell's point, and talking about open source, software development kit kind of things, it would be pretty cool if car manufacturers allowed people to create their own apps or interfaces for infotainment centers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to be sensitive to legal issues. Obviously, the car companies have to operate in some kind of environment where they can't offer features that are going to allow them to be sued. And I get that to a point.
Like a navigation system you can use when the car's moving?
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get me started about the nav in my car.
Yeah.
On the planet.
So yeah, I like the idea of people being able to do their own infotainment systems, but maybe not their own autonomous drive system, for example. So it might be
or their own ABS system.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that's where the manufacturers can separate things. So you have a better a different interface for your radio. Your XM or a different interface for one thing or another, or maybe just a wallpaper screen that just shuts off the screen or something, whatever. But it's completely separate from the mechanical operation of the vehicle.
Right. Okay, so the Auto Alliance.
Yeah, there was twice.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There they are. I have a bit of a delay, so I'm sorry. I keep.
That's okay.
Twice in 2011, I got software updates or firmware updates for the center console in my car, and while I'm driving, it would reset, and it would do a reboot while I'm driving. And I called the manufacturer. What's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, those are non-vital systems, and your car is still new, so we're rolling out updates, and don't worry about it. when it happened, I was a little freaked out.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd be really.
Yeah, why not do that in the middle of the night when I'm not driving it?
Or do like the Windows thing that you go to turn your car off and it says installing updates. Your car will automatically shut off when finished.
Right. Yes.
The advantage.
I haven't seen those lately, so I think they might have changed their system. Just to prevent calls from people like me going, what the?
So my final word on this topic is I want you guys to support, and that's you guys, not the panel and everybody watching and listening. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, you can find them at EFF.org, is one of the few, if maybe only, organizations throwing some money and some attorneys behind this to fight this. This is a really good time to send them a couple of bucks or even just an email that says we love you, anything. EFF.org, it's a good time to donate to them. They do a lot of good work. And this obviously is an important battle. Supposedly there is an examination period that ends this month, but I couldn't find in the article which regulatory agency it is that's doing this. If this is like a congressional thing or if it's a NHTSA thing.
Yeah, it doesn't really say.
It just says that there's an open comment period that ends this month. So, and again, I would encourage all of you to spread the word via social media or whatever to find out, and if you can comment negatively against this misuse of the DMCA, it would be a really good use of your time and effort to do that.
Yep.
Anybody else last words on this? I love it when you guys are I'm a little scared. Well, and speaking of scared, I don't really know how to approach this next topic. I just don't.
Is it the zombie apocalypse?
I got a problem. Worse.
The extended range zombie apocalypse?
The electric car things are never going to work.
The fuel cell zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I know somebody can hear that. So, recently, our own Evan Pusko, and you know what? Listen, respect, okay? I'm not even respect to the man. Number one, for documenting this, and number two, for having the enormous brass beach balls to actually post it on the friggin' internet. Evan ran his Tesla down to 0 and had to have it towed. Now, I'm going to let him talk about it, but you know what? Let's just turn it over. Evan, what would you like to say about this?
Well, I was stupid. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Okay, topic. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So I shared it for educational reasons. I think all of us on the panel have been involved in this stuff enough to know that people will do something stupid and then seek to blame others and the manufacturer and the vehicle and the technology for what was really their own fault for not paying attention. And in this particular case, it was probably 95% my fault.
Higher.
The car said it had no charge, and I shouldn't have driven it. In my defense, however, it had 8 miles of range when I parked it, and it dropped to 0 when I got in. And so I sort of didn't believe it because I didn't think it would just evaporate, and I thought I would have enough reserve to make it the 2.5, 3 miles home. I made it all but 1.5 miles home and got to meet a very pleasant tow truck man that AAA called for me, and we got it on the charger, and all has been well ever since. But I think the lesson is, the car says it's out of battery, is out of battery. Just like if your car says it's out of gas, it's out of gas.
Maybe
yeah, but a gas car can say it's out of gas and still go a few more miles, and then it will sputter and die.
Yeah, well, I did too. Just wasn't enough miles.
Don't try to explore the reserve. Is that the lesson here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it said it was empty, and you went another 6 miles, right? Or until you. I'm not sure how far you.
No, I only got about a mile and a half.
Okay, after it said there was nothing left, you still got a mile and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you would have pushed it, except that a Tesla weighs about 4,000 pounds. Is that?
Yeah, well, and there was quite the hill. If you watch the video, it was quite the hill. That it was not about to make it up that thing. So, but
Could have gone down the hill and made regen.
No, I did go down a hill and make regen, or at least I made momentum, and I was hoping that was going to be enough to carry me up the next hill, but it wasn't. So, don't run your Tesla out of energy.
There you go.
Yes, it was good, and I do have to say congratulations, and you earned some cred definitely in my book for posting the video on your own Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube channel, and naming it "Dumbass Runs Out of Battery in His Tesla." Yeah.
Which we'll link to from whatdrives.us. So if you want to watch experience 15 or 5 minutes, whatever it is, of pure hell, you will have the opportunity. So it's if you want to see what it's like to run a Tesla down to 0 and then call AAA, we have the video.
I was surprised you weren't getting more warnings.
I don't know. How much more do you need? It says no charge, and
it was binging,
and the acceleration. I don't
you have no battery, dumbass.
Yeah,
that's what I was expecting, and I didn't see that part.
I think the real warning that really should tell you there's something wrong. If you watch the video, there's a little dashed yellow line that comes up that is your limit of your acceleration power, and it was minimal. I mean, it was like 10 kilowatts which is nothing. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, that's pedaling a bike power. So I had no juice at all. So it was telling me, you got nothing left, bro. Quit. And I chose to ignore it.
I like that you played the stereo until almost the very end.
I left it going.
And it was "We're Not Going to Take It." Was that the? I believe that was the actual song.
I think it was.
I respect that. That's me, because I'm going down when the ship goes down. I'm gonna have a glass of champagne. I'm gonna hear music in the background. That's
rock and roll, baby.
That's it.
All right, I found the display that the Tesla displays as you were running out of gas. I'm pretty sure it looks like this.
Gas.
Is that what comes up on the dashboard?
Pretty close.
Part of the low battery warning. They should display right down to Electric Avenue.
Isn't it the Volt? The Volt has the glowing ball. Is this what the ball looks like when you run it dead?
Well, let's stop picking on Evan, and let's pick on someone we haven't picked on in a long time, but someone we love to pick on.
Is it Danny?
No company less than Fisker.
See, that I skipped articles. I thought we were going Fisker next, which is why I was referring to them as zombies.
Well, I was just going to say a zombie like crawling out of the grave and attempting to resurrect itself. I actually spent about half an hour trying to figure out how to say this word, and quite literally, there is no definitive pronunciation. The consensus seems to be Wan Chong.
Or clickbait.
This is a Chinese parts company that bought Fisker and is attempting to resurrect them. And to their credit, and I don't know how much of this is legally they have to do or if they're just being great people, but to their credit, one of the first things they're doing is rolling out a customer support program which will actually offer some, albeit limited, support and parts to current Fisker owners, which until now, these guys have just been screwed, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good for them for at least taking care of the existing owners.
Yeah, that $2,000 may be enough to replace the windshield wiper blades.
Yeah. So when you say they're going to take care of them, we sell parts. Hey, you want to buy parts? Guess what? Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Your left windshield wiper is free.
We'll fly repairmen over from China for only $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And all our parts are made in the same factory as Harbor Freight parts.
Right. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. I mean, so the problem with this is, and I'm looking at a Green Car Reports article on this just to give them a little cred, but I mean, as we detailed a lot when Fisker was a going concern, the problem is this is a gorgeous car that really was a nightmare from the start. So offering $3,000 worth of parts and labor into a car that had multiple fundamental and many design flaws, how helpful is that?
It might be enough to get it running well enough for them to sell it to another sucker.
Yeah.
Oh, it came out with huge promise.
I mean, that commercial, right?
Oh, yeah.
I still remember we did like half an hour of the commercial just going, oh, Daddy wants.
Yes.
Oh, Daddy.
Yeah, and you're right. And then it was just problem after problem after problem, and I mean, and yeah, of course, it's a brand new car line. There's going to be some bugs and some hiccups, but man, and now they say bugs. They have about 250 bugs and updates. They're pouring millions into relaunching the Karma production.
So anybody think this is going to work?
No.
I don't even know why they're doing it, honestly.
I didn't expect Paul to go nope right away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just heard the other day of a company in Colorado that bought 13 Kodas because they got a good deal on them, and apparently 10 of them don't work right now. And good luck getting them fixed, because I mean, to buy an oddball, low-quantity engineered car in the first year or two is you're rolling the dice. I mean, very few people can make that function.
Why on earth would anybody? Well, they clearly didn't know what they were buying.
No. Someone, I don't know, maybe they were into 93 Corollas at some point.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you allow the financial department to make major decisions.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get a really good deal on these cars. We've got to buy them. We'll save money. It's a cost reduction initiative. Yeah.
Oops. Maybe not such a good investment.
Well, and I mean, Koda, the underlying car before it was electrified, was a Chinese car. I mean, does anybody know of a car from a Chinese manufacturer that has quality?
Has passed the crash test? Is that
Right.
Yeah.
Only low-speed vehicles are sold in the U.S. from China. I don't know of any freeway speed.
Yeah. What's wrong with a frame made out of lead? What's wrong?
It matches the paint.
Lead's a metal. It is. It's shiny. Well, okay, so our long-term whipping, our scapegoat, whatever, Fisker, might be coming back. It'll depend whether or not Wang Chong can can actually re-engineer this thing. I mean, I don't see how you don't just. I mean, what part? What? That's what I didn't get. Like, why anybody would want to buy it? Like, what intellectual property was there that had any value?
I don't know.
I mean, the car looks nice if you just want to put it in a museum, you know.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's gorgeous to look at, especially if you don't get close. But then there are the other things that when you get close, actually, well, the body panels don't fit so well. The interior is kind of hinky. There's like foam stuck behind the grill that's visible. I mean, there's a lot of just
duct tape and zip ties and
just stupid shit for a car that wasn't really engineered as well as it was designed. It was designed beautifully. Not so much.
So I gotta wonder. I'm looking at the pictures on the Green Car Reports article here. So the first one is a stock picture, and then the second one has the Karma in front of this airplane. Which would be kind of cool, except that the cockpit is open on the airplane, which is kind of a weird. Why not just close it? But if you scroll down at the third picture, you get another picture of the car with the airplane, and there's a guy under the hood of the airplane. Did anyone notice that?
Out parts. Yeah, there's
They must be.
Stealing parts to try to fix his Karma.
Yeah.
Just taking the avionics out of the jet and putting it into the Karma. Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to do some work on this jet. Is that all right? Oh no, go ahead. We'll just keep taking pictures.
Sure. Don't mind us.
Wow.
Don't mind us. Well,
he drove his Karma out there to work on the jet. So for the people that did take a chance and bought a Karma early on, early adopters sometimes get burned. The folks that bought Tesla Roadsters had better luck, and they might be having a 400-mile battery pack upgrade coming out later this year. So when you're buying $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 cars, you probably have some money that if it works out, great. If not, oh well, just go buy another one.
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, I feel bad. I don't want to see anybody get ripped off. But
right.
It is. If you were gambling and you bought a Fisker, you're not a good decision maker.
I want to play poker with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was like say about Hyundai owners. Back in the day, it was like, okay, it was $5,000 for a Hyundai Excel, but you're still not a good decision maker. That there's some questionable things going on there. Nowadays, that's a different story, admittedly.
Hey, Paul, do you know the name of the company that bought the 13 Codas? I just want to make sure if I see a job posting at some point in the area.
It's just sort of hearsay at this point, but I believe it was a car sharing club. But that's all I know.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Wow.
I hope the price was low enough that getting 3 working cars was enough.
Yeah.
Right. You enjoy your electric.
I mean, that's the thing that I can't imagine is people who buy these cars, like you said, without researching it, without talking to people in the business. I mean, I've had customers come to me even back when Coda was sort of new, saying, "Should I buy this Coda? It's got better range than a Nissan Leaf." And I said, "Absolutely not, because the car is going to break, and there's going to be no support, and they're going to go to business." And what happened, So. Doesn't matter how good a deal it is, if there's no one standing behind the car, you're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Coda, we had them on the show, and we talked about that, and we said, good luck. I hope it works out, but I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was an interesting show. Now that I recall that. Well, speaking of interesting and possibly having no future at all, it was actually I need to carefully source this because Danny took me to task. So the actual Toyota Prius team posted on PriusChat.com.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite Prius website, and I'm just going to read it. That way I don't mess it up. They said, "Hello all. Wanted to give you a quick update that the current generation of Prius plug-in hybrid will cease production in June. We are hard at work developing a new generation of Prius plug-in hybrid, and we are looking forward to sharing more details with you as we approach our launch date. You and our dealers are the first to know today. Thanks for all your continued support. Nathan Kochs, Advanced Technology Vehicle Marketing, Toyota Motor Sales USA. So,
it was. I have to say,
plug-in.
I thought it was kind of cool that they posted it on Prius Chat at the same time that it went out to the media outlets or to the dealers to us. I mean,
Totally cool.
Yeah, totally.
That would be cooler if the next one comes out with a 40-mile battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
And it would still be less than the Volt.
You're a dreamer.
So the article that we shared, or we have posted for this, they make some speculation. Under normal circumstances, this would be time to celebrate a second-generation Prius PHEV with more all-electric range, greater MPG, and wireless charging. Has been confirmed.
Has been confirmed.
That's what it says.
Confirmed where?
I think it was confirmed on InsideEVs.com just a week ago by J. Cole.
No. So I guess let's finish that. It was under normal circumstances, this would be great. Unfortunately, delays with the next gen Prius have pushed the plug-in version well into 2016, and so who knows what's going to change by then.
Yeah.
So let's play the hypothetical game for just a minute, if that's okay. Paul, you right away said 40-mile battery. I'm going to guess the speed capping thing, because it was speed capped at what, like 62 or something?
Yeah, and there were, if it was cold out, you'd have to run the gas engine. I mean, it was, I hate to say it, but the Chevy Volt is a better car than the current plug-in Prius for most people.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
And I think if Toyota had released a Chevy Volt with a Toyota badge on it, at least in this market, they would have sold a buttload of them. But there's certain parts of the country where people just don't buy Chevys, and Colorado, California, or those kinds of places.
Well, and arguably, I mean, I don't know that. Yeah, let's just say all things being equal, they would have been very successful with it. Unlike the Prius plug-in, which really wasn't a successful vehicle over its life.
Right, it wasn't.
It's too bad they didn't have some feedback from potential buyers to let them know that they might need to do things a little differently to make it successful.
This is
like us yelling and screaming at them wasn't enough.
I mean, they didn't even really. Did they ever roll out to all 50 states?
No, only the carb states. Is that it? The East Coast, West Coast. Yeah.
I mean, definitely a lot of people in California bought the plug-in Prius to get an HOV sticker and never even plug in their car, which is really sad.
Yeah, that was one of the things we had that guy from Toyota last week say he did exactly that, and that just really irked me. Really, you have a plug-in car, find somewhere to plug it in, please.
There are chargers all over that campus.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
He essentially admitted he was doing it for the HOV sticker. That's right. So, as much as I hope that the next plug-in Prius, when it comes out 14 months later, is great, I have no confidence in Toyota to be able to deliver something that I find even worth mentioning. I'll be underwhelmed yet again. They're stuck on fuel cells.
So the RAV4 EV goes away.
Yeah.
Yep.
The plug-in Prius goes away.
Yep.
The Mirai rises.
Is Toyota even here?
I don't know.
Well, none of us know, Tony.
Well,
I'm just asking opinions.
Yeah.
Guess we'll see. Maybe they'll increase the range of the plug-in Prius to 12 miles.
Now, is that marketing or real world?
That's a 10% increase.
Yeah.
Almost. That would be funny if it wasn't true. It's kind of sad. Pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the question is, like, I don't. How do you run out of, like, how do you stop making a car before you have the next model?
Yeah.
That's kind of.
Yeah, that's like saying, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit my job, and I'll eventually find something else.
Yeah.
No, find a job and then.
Yeah, that is. I did think that was a curious move. And yeah, I can't even explain why they would do exactly that. Unless they needed the production lines. Yeah, maybe they needed the production lines for some other car. Maybe they needed.
Not the Mirai.
Yeah, not the Mirai. They needed the
more
battery.
Sequoias.
Do you think they're
Yeah,
out
we
of
hear
five
about
workers they had.
We hear about production lines being shut down temporarily to be retooled all the time for the Volt or the Tesla or whatever, and that's 2 or 3 months. That's not 14 months.
Right.
Well, now where's the 14-month figure coming from?
That was in this story that we were sharing.
That's in the
initial story.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first one that I saw just said it was being shut down. The second one I saw said 16 months. No, this one says 14 months. So it's probably somewhat over a year, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear where we were sourcing our stuff. Okay, so is it unreasonable for me to
Abe
ask?
Lincoln told me.
Abe,
In an email.
so let's channel your inner Abe Lincoln. I want completely hypothetical guesses. If and when the Prius plug-in comes back, what basic specs does it have to have for it to work? Because it's not going to come back until, I'm sorry, the article claims 14 months?
Yeah.
So we're talking about June or July of 2017?
Well, no, that could be 16.
16, excuse me.
Yeah.
So
I thought it said
what
14
specs
in
does
this
it
one.
have to have to exist,
But yeah,
to work?
Ooh, to work.
I think Paul called it out. It has to be
Yeah.
at least as good as the first-gen Volt to even be interesting. Maybe if they did something like the Rex for the i3, that might be interesting too.
The
80 miles of electric,
range
another. Yeah, the BMW has a what they call a Rex, a range extender, where you have 80 miles of electric and another 80 miles of gas.
So, but in the Prius frame, I mean, we're talking about the i3 was designed to be what it is. The Volt was designed to be what it is. The Prius plug-in
It
is
got 14 months.
Right.
but it's still a Prius. I mean, they can't make a completely different car and call it a Prius plug-in.
Well, maybe not a completely different car, but they could. The V is still a Prius. So maybe the next iteration of the plug-in will maintain some resemblance to the Prius family, but
Tony,
actually take into consideration.
They've already had to add styrofoam parts to the V to make it light enough to function on the Prius frame. There's no way they can drop a 200-pound battery in that thing and make it work.
I'm not saying a 200-pound battery. I'm saying like a 400-pound battery.
Put a fuel cell in.
You just pull it on a trailer behind the car.
That's how you extend the range. You tow it.
No, so am I hearing from you guys that it's not fixable? That this is a problem that Toyota's wrestling with, but they're wrestling with a problem that can't really be solved. What they need is a plug-in that's designed to be a plug-in from the ground up.
I don't think they're really wrestling with it all that hard.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I
that.
don't think they care. They probably just don't
Doesn't
care.
seem like it.
I mean, how many Prius plugins did they really sell? Like a few thousand in the last few years, compared to how many millions of Priuses have they sold?
I think they sold more than that, but
Yeah, but then they would tell you that it's because it's a limited, geographic availability. So there's always a spin.
the Linda Weideman argument, right? Linda, we miss you.
Mhm.
Was it
Right.
constrained supply, or is it,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
demand?
Yeah, we only released a few, and then we wonder why only a few were sold. Oh, wow.
Right.
I don't know. It's
Damn
a
it.
mystery.
People just aren't buying the Mirai. Why is that? Well, we only made 5.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean,
And then
again.
they say it's got long range. So by the time this comes out, there's been electric vehicles have been out since 2011 in this modern version of them. There have been several improvements in batteries over time. And Toyota is certainly no stranger to battery tech, so they could have something planned for 2016 that has decent range and isn't 400 pounds like Tony said.
Maybe it'll be a Tesla pack.
That's how Tesla sold 38,000 of these. Toyota ordered them all.
And by the time they get delivered, they'll go straight into the cars. Yeah, I don't know what it will take to make the plug-in successful in the next iteration, but it's definitely going to need longer range. I mean, that's number one. I think everything is secondary to that.
Right.
And
Maybe Toyota's recognized they've got an intractable problem, and the best thing they can do is punt, which is, we're gonna take a year off and think about it.
About it.
Apparently, I mean, just going by what's being reported, it's it's weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts on the Prius plug-in, kids? No. Any
No.
last?
Wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. That's about all we got.
holding my breath.
Just like the Fisker Karma, we were here before it. We'll be here after it. And the Prius plug-in, we were here before it. We'll be here after it. So check back with us.
Honda Insight.
14 months, and maybe we'll be here talking about how awesome the Prius plug-in is, or what a joke the Prius plug-in is. That's kind of what we do. Let's wrap this bad boy up. We've had a good show. Shout-outs, Mr. Schaefer.
I want to give some shout-outs to Brad. Say what?
Would you please?
I would. Our friends at Plug-in America, and Tom Sines and Brad Petra, Bruce, I know I'm going to get Rocky incorrect, and Zan Dubin Scott, Abdullah Hashimi, and Amy Swain. I want to say, hey, thanks for liking our Facebook page, which for those of you who haven't liked us yet, you can find at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. And give us a like, give us a shout out, post some article ideas, and while you're at it, go out to iTunes, find us, and give us a rating, and then you can call us. What's that number?
It's 575-51-DRIVE.
Do we have any calls this week?
On the Google Voice Day, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Is that because
We are completely unloved when it comes to the voicemail thing.
So you're saying that all our listeners are losers, or
I'm just saying no.
They
I'm
use
not
email.
saying that.
or I'm
Phones
saying
are too low tech. Yeah,
I just want
phones
to
are
say
low
that
tech.
both of our listeners both of our listeners didn't take the time to call us this week.
See, and that's just. I really expected at least Austin to give us a call.
Give us a call. Well,
Yeah.
Right now he's probably dialing a phone.
I know, right? That's how I slipped that in.
From his new plug-in Prius,
The
the 11-mile battery.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Patrick Connor, do you have any shout-outs this week?
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier in the show, but I want to reiterate and give a shout out to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. That's EFF.org. They're a nonprofit that advocates for your rights in this new digital world. Go EFF.
Nice call, Mr. Connor. Thank you.
Nice.
Mr. Fusco.
I
AAA. Do you have any
AAA. That's the first time in my life I've ever used AAA, but they were very good to me. I actually have to say it was a nice service. So, and Tesla Motors Club for you Tesla fans out there is a good site. Come on out and visit us there.
Nice.
Okay.
Last but not least, yes, you, Mr. Guzik.
Yeah, my shout out today is actually a neighbor of ours in Boulder here called GreenEyedMotors.com. They're a used car dealer that specializes in hybrid EVs and fuel-efficient vehicles. And just looking on their website the other day, they had, this is pretty impressive for a used car lot, 2 CT 200H hybrids, 5 Priuses, 2 Prius Cs, a Prius V, 4 Chevy Volts, 9 Nissan Leafs, a BMW i3, an iMEV, a C-Max Energy, a Ford Focus EV, a Tesla Model S, and a Chevy Spark EV. So if you are looking for a used EV and live in Colorado, that's the place to go.
What is it again?
GreenEyedMotors.com. And
Green-Eyed Motors.
all of the plug-in vehicles they sell are eligible for a Colorado rebate, even if they're used, as long as you're a Colorado resident.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Nice.
How long does that take to establish?
I think 3 months you can become a resident.
Is that it?
A resident.
Can I
Now,
use
what
your
if
address?
what if I'm not a
What I'm doing
resident?
this summer.
What if I'm not a resident but I know one?
Well, if you knew someone in Colorado, they could buy the car, and then you could buy it from them after they get the rebate from the state.
But then I have to wrestle you for the wrestle
Yeah.
that person for the rebate.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
or buy said person a bunch of beer.
Okay.
Like $7,000 for the beer, basically.
But I thought it's pretty
Or
cool
some
that
brandy.
that there are a few used car dealers in the country specializing in these vehicles because they're coming off lease and they're getting repurposed into the market. For example, you can get a 2-year-old Leaf as a Colorado resident for about 12, 13 grand, which is pretty easy.
Man.
I would love that.
Wow.
Love that.
Yeah,
So
for my
anybody
kids.
listening in Colorado, check out their website.
I think that is totally awesome. GreenEyedMotors.com.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere near Boulder, and even if you're not, if you're within driving distance, you should check it out.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Guzik, and of course BoulderHybrid.com, right?
He doesn't even plug his own business.
Nah, everybody knows it.
Nah, if you got something to fix, maybe talk to Paul. I wish you could change my oil because I really don't want to take my Toyota dealer.
I hear Lancaster Toyotas are a great dealer.
They're bastards. They're all rat bastards. Okay.
Nice setup, Paul. That was great.
Nothing. Thank you, Paul. Paul, I owe you so much fucking beer right now. Lancaster Toyota blows. How's that? But I'm going to enjoy that 3-mile drive to Faulkner Toyota in Harrisburg. So, or I could go to my local third-party dealer and have my oil changed and void the warranty.
Hey, do it while you still can.
Absolutely.
Going to an independent shop doesn't void your warranty. So
Excuse me.
Find your local independent hybrid shop, like Boulder Hybrids, in your region.
Yes.
There you go.
Pennsylvania.
Go to your local Amish
Okay,
hybrid
yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
We actually have buggy repair shops. We don't have a hybrid repair shop.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about like us here.
It doesn't. Yeah. We'll catch up someday.
Yeah.
No worries. So, hey, I want to thank you guys. Let's see. Plugs. PriusChat.com/shop. If you have a Prius and you need something for it, the only place to go, the first place to go, the most important place to go is the Prius Chat shop. That's it, PriusChat.com/shop. Do go there because my friend Danny has 2 young girls that are going to clean his ass out. He needs the money, so buy a freaking sunshade or an oil filler or a mud flap or something from the guy. He's desperate, okay? He'll probably come over and wash your car for $10. So.
Yes. It's
Mud flaps for your Prius.
Hey, because I know you're out in the dirt with your Prius a lot, aren't you?
Yes.
I am. I know my Prius C was out in the mud today. What else? Let's see. As always, want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. Please buy a song, say hi, thank him for letting us use our theme music. We love him. I want to thank Unibrew for my FM air, which I enjoyed quite a bit this week, and hopefully it didn't degrade my performance on the show. Evan looks like he's watching the clock, like.
No, he's watching.
I'm watching the cards try to come back from behind.
Lose to the Cubs.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, are you and Tony going to be having a fight after the show?
Only if the Cubs lose.
There's really nothing to fight about. They always lose.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's see. Who else to thank? I want to thank all of my panelists. Tony Schaefer, Patrick Connor, Evan Fusco, Paul Guzik. Thank you very much for coming on and doing a great show this week. I appreciate it so much.
Good times.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Danny Cooper will hopefully be back next week. If not, I'll be here, and I apologize to you in advance. And download us next week and find out what drives us.